in law school, there is no way I can teach law students all the law that they will need or that they will confront in practice. It's a fool's errand. You can't. There's too many laws. So what do I teach them? I teach them the methodology of thinking about a legal problem. When there is a legal problem, what are the questions to ask? How to isolate a legally relevant issue. And once you isolate that really legally relevant issue, how to interrogate it from all sides, and then how to go and research the law, but not stop there, but how to think about possibly if the law is not satisfactory, how to even push the boundaries of the law to change the law. Whether you change it by asking a court to adopt a new doctrine, a new interpretation, whether by asking a regulatory agency to adopt a new rule, or whether even by deciding that you need to work through Congress or through the legislature. And so what you are teaching, otherwise law school would be 30 years instead of 3 years. When I give a law student a hypothetical, we deal in hypotheticals in law school. Why? Because the hypotheticals are an illustration of how to think about a problem. A law school textbook, it's not, the point is not to memorize what the textbook tells you about this case or that case or this case. No respectable law professor asks students to memorize the cases and their holdings. But what you ask them to do, what you demand that they do, is that when presented with a new case, they can cite to the old cases to show you how they're going to approach the new case. This is precisely the point of, so why am I saying this? You will find Muslims today that will talk as if ilah is still a social problem. They will sit there and tell you the rules of ilah is this and this and this and this and this, and if you say this and if she says this and then you do this, and who uses ilah today? It's no one. So then they say, well, if no one uses it, then, but we still have to study it because it's God's law. And then the absurdity of saying, where was the good old days when, okay, now we should, go back to Fusha, and maybe men should start using ilah, so then the Quranic condemnation would apply to them. I mean, so you actually do what's wrong so the Quran can come and correct you. It is completely backwards. It's completely, what do you say? I mean, it just, no. The point is not, the point is the methodology. And what is the problem with ilah? You see, this is how you mistake the thing. What is the problem with ilah? The problem with ilah is that you have someone in a relationship that loses their temper and then swears, takes in a way that injures their partner, that hurts their partner. Ilah was what? Ilah was about hurting the feelings of your wife. It wasn't, I've never found an example where a woman used ilah, but it was always used by men. Hurting the feelings of your wife. And then, although you just today, you've told her you know, you are so disgusting to me, I'm never going to touch you. Tomorrow, you go back and sleep with her. That's the problem. So the Quran comes and says, no, can't do that. If you're going to say that, separation for 4 months. And then after that, either both of you agree to go back to each other or both of you agree to divorce. The way that ilah became in jurisprudence, you will not find a single source that tells you, that discusses the moral point behind the Quranic discourse on ilah. But that's precisely what I mean when I say the Usuli method. I don't care. Don't tell me, oh, you know, what school of thought. You know, if I have to be the first Muslim, so be it. If you have to be the first right person in the world, so be it. Just be, you know, وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, say, proclaim, you are the first of Muslims, a priori, just be the first moral person. The Usuli method is to ask, if you want, what I call the Usuli method, is to ask, what was the moral objective? What was this about? What was ilah about? Ilah was about a male privilege that was being abused. And it was hurting the feelings of these wives. And it was a form of tahdhib, a form of tahdhib, moral education for people. A critical point, people, a critical point. Because if you ask me, the reason that no one takes, we pretend that we take Islamic law seriously, but the reason no one takes Islamic law seriously is because it's not about the rules. If we go back to principles, to thinking about the morality that God, the liberation, what does Allah call it? Allah calls it the light. يُخْرِجْكُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ, to take you out of darkness to light. So by definition, Sharia has to be taking you out of darkness to light. But if you study Sharia and it seems like it's just, I don't understand how this is from darkness to light, then we have a problem. Why is this so difficult? Why is this so revolutionary? I mean, this just seems old, like basic common sense.